about the things.
And welcome to Corner Cafe. I am your host, Rachel Maines, and today I have a dear friend on the show to share her journey, Heidi Davis. She recently got diagnosed with Lou Gehrig's disease, and she's going to share how her faith is her strong foundation in this new season. And thank you so much, Heidi, for coming on the Corner Cafe.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm honored to be here.
Honored to have you. Just for a little history for our listeners, you were my mom's friend. My mom passed a couple of years ago, and now you are my friend. Also, you were on my friend Angie Austin's show, The Good News with Angie Austin, to talk about your book.
Yes. First, let me say your mom is always such a light in my life, and I will carry her memory with me forever. Truly wonderful lady, and I'm honored to know you, too. So,
well, I know thank you. And likewise, honored to know you. And I know my mom loved you so much. She just spoke so highly of you. And I'm so thankful that God introduced her to great friends out there where you're at. She lived in Cedar Ridge. And I guess you're not really in Cedar Ridge, correct?
No, I'm about 20 minutes from Cedar Ridge in Delta.
Heidi, tell our listeners about your book before we get into your new life journey.
Okay. Well, my book is called Ariel's Light, and it's a true story about a personal struggle that I had with alcoholism and overcoming that through many different avenues, trying to get there, and finally got there and was able to get sober, and ended up having a pretty terrible tragedy strike in my life with the death of my daughter. She was hit by a car when I was 7 months sober, my daughter Ariel, and through that, just clinging on to God's grace, His light, His hope, and able to navigate through that devastation trial with God's grace in our heart, and keeping Ariel so close to me, and all the while remaining sober during that time, and still to this day. As a matter of fact, it was in May, I celebrated 16 years of sobriety.
Congratulations. That's huge.
Yeah. So that's kind of the summary of my book, and just, a lot of the treasures that God lays at our feet. If we keep our if we keep our soul and our path straight, and for me, it was just out of self-pity and out of the alcoholism, you're able to see those things when you can get out of self. And sometimes they're small and sometimes they're huge, but I just always try to be aware of the things that He lays, in our day.
Right, that's beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
It's few and far between, I guess, believers who display the grace of God when hit with such things that happen in life with your daughter, with you struggling with addiction. And now you have a new journey, which, when I heard about your journey, I wanted to go out there and see you. So I took a friend and we did a mountain trip all the way to Cedar Ridge. Also, my uncle lives there. And then we saw you and Linda for lunch, and I just wanted to see you guys in person and give you a hug. So that was just very special for me. So thank you for that. But, I was just thinking too, you display the grace in these life challenges, if you will, new journeys so beautifully. What a great testimony. I think you probably don't realize what a strong testimony you truly are. But explain to our listeners right now the new journey you're on.
Okay, well, over the past year and a half, a little longer than that, it was the beginning of 2024, I started noticing problems with walking and issues, and so I'd seen multiple doctors and kept running into dead ends, and then finally I was, after several tests and all the different negative results of things, which is good in a sense, ultimately it was not good for my diagnosis, but I was sent to the Mayo Clinic in July, and on July 9th I was diagnosed with ALS, which is also known as Lou Gehrig's disease. It's a motor neuron disease that, is fatal, and I was given anywhere between 1 to 4 years to live. And so that's kind of where I'm at. And I have so many mixed emotions. This is something that I haven't worked in a while, but when I was working, I had the pleasure of working at a nursing home years ago, and I took care of a couple different people with this, and it was always just kind of haunting when I took care of these people. It was a very rare thing, and I watched this beautiful woman come in, and just how fast that it took her ability to move, to stand, to walk, eventually to talk, and then her life. And so it was something, that I had always been in the back of my mind. Gosh, I always thought, man, if I ever have to go through something, please, please, please don't let it be that. And I mean, the odds of it happening was pretty rare. It was a pretty slim chance. And lo and behold, here I am with it. So.
Yeah, and you're carrying it so bravely and so gracefully, but we know that it is your faith in Christ that has set the foundation for your life. So as you talk to God about it, what are some of the things that you discuss with him?
Well, the prayer that I feel so deeply, that I feel daily, is that I want to be able to demonstrate his omnipotence. Mm-hmm. I don't feel, I mean, although that it's sad and it's scary, but I feel almost honored in a way that I've been asked to carry this, because I know that no matter what that we have to go through, that he's going to walk with us if we let him. Mm-hmm. And I know that everything that happens in our lives is for such a greater purpose. Mm-hmm. And I think as a Christian, and especially as somebody that has gone through different challenges in my life, and it's just something that you feel, when you hit that very rock bottom, that last day that I ever drank, and you just feel so alone and scared, and you pushed everybody away. The one person that you always think that, you just never want to show that filth to, in a sense, he was the one that wrapped his arms around me. Mm-hmm. And so I felt it from that moment that he's there, and he's going to walk me and my family through it if we let him. Mm-hmm. So, but my prayer is that whatever it is that I am supposed to do, just please give me the strength and courage to do this task, this job that I've been chosen to do. Mm-hmm.
So beautiful. Yes. And when we go through things like this, it's just a reminder that there is heaven, eternity of heaven, and this life is so, so quick. It's just a breath. Do you think about heaven and being reunited with your daughter? What are some of those thoughts?
Oh, well, of course, that. I just can't help but to think that, ever since Ariel died, I feel like I've always been stuck in between two worlds. I've got my family here and my kids that, of course, I never want to be apart from, but then I've got my baby there. Mm-hmm. And how you long as a mother, how you long just to hold him and be with him. So the piece of me is devastated for my family, but I can just feel her excitement. I don't know what it is, but I just know that I'm excited, of course, to be in the grace and presence of God, but mm-hmm. Oh my gosh, just to be reunited with my Ariel.
Mm-hmm. Wow. So how has your family seen you and, be strong for the Lord? I know they are in this moment, but have they commented or just say, hey, Mom, I'm so proud of you? What are some of the things that they're saying as you guys talk, and you talk about the diagnosis, and you talk about moving forward as a family?
My family is just absolutely incredible. And, having to walk through a journey like this, I honestly, I could not have asked for a better team in my life. My friends, my family, my kids, everybody. has just been so amazing. I mean, Kevin and I, after we got the diagnosis, it was pretty fast, going through over a year and a half of different testing. Once we got out to the Mayo Clinic, I was diagnosed. I mean, they had an idea probably within, I think it was an hour and a half to 2 hours. And they knew. And so I had originally planned to stay out there for a few days, but since we already got the answer, we decided to come straight home and tell our kids. And my parents drove up, and everybody just rallied around. And my kids are just so incredible, and they're so strong. And, of course, they're hurting and their heart aches. But they look to me, I think, for guidance and how to navigate this. So it's also my job still as a mom, even though I'm going through something like this, it's still my job to, I don't know, take the lead, I suppose.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Just beautiful, Heidi. I'm sure some listeners, they've gone through, we all go through things, and sometimes we can be mad at God for allowing us to go through things. Did you have any of that? It sounds like you're just so strong, and you just have so much grace that you aren't challenged with being angry.
Well, I guess sure. I think more sad. I think my heart hurts for my family, for my children. I mean, my oldest daughter, she's 32. And then my youngest son, he's 20. And so I don't think, I'm still very lucky. I have both my parents living, and they have shared every up and down with me that you can possibly imagine. So the thought of leaving my children, especially, my son, he's still so young. And my daughter, Skylie, she's 25 and a wife and a mother. And, I remember being 25 and still going to my mom for everything. So the thought of leaving them is devastating to them. To not have their mama breaks my heart. And my husband, it breaks my heart because I know what that feels like to lose somebody. Mm-hmm. I know what that grief feels like. So I don't know. I'm sad, and for my, of course, my parents, I'm sad for them. But within my heart, I know exactly where I'm going.
Right.
Which I don't know. I suppose eases that.
Right.
That pain and that sadness.
Right. Absolutely. Well, I can just say, this is what a Christian truly is, displaying the grace of the Lord through everything, through, the highs, of course, but especially you get to see somebody's heart and somebody's faith when they go through something low, something life challenging like this. Any advice for someone who's listening who has maybe something similar? They're just devastated. Maybe they lost a job, they lost a family member. Someone listening that you can encourage right now, just in Christ.
Well, going through all the different challenges in our life, some devastating, some, minor to in comparison. I think that the way that I like to view it is that, and I don't know if I'd share this with you or not before, but I like to view our lives here like the back of the tapestry, where, everything, it's going to be something, but you just don't know what. And if you look at the back of a tapestry, it's messy, and there's knots and there's breaks, and not everything makes sense. But when we get to that point where we get to walk to the other side of that tapestry and be with our Creator and see what He's made, I think that all of those questions will be answered. And it will all make sense. Something that we learn, going through AA too, is that you don't quit 5 minutes before the miracle.
Right. Absolutely. I've never heard that. I haven't heard you say that before, but what a great analogy of our life here and then walking into eternity. Mm-hmm. Has your Bible reading gone up, or who are you listening to right now to keep your faith at a high mark?
Well, I've got a beautiful family, and we share Jesus calling together, and I have cousins that send me Bible verses, and I try to start my morning with reading that in the morning. And I think that as the days go on, especially the more difficult the days are, I don't know, I feel like every time things get more difficult for me, the closer I cling on to God.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm sure as the days go on, and, with this particular disease, you're kind of just left with, I think by the end, you're just left with your thoughts. And so, I think I'm going to have a lot of opportunity and time to get into His Word and read more and listen and reflect and all those wonderful things that we get to do to build that relationship with God.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And I know that you, I've been to your house, and you have dogs, and you love animals and plants and gardening and stuff. So right now you're keeping up as best you can with the things you enjoy to do?
Well, I'm trying. Luckily, I have this wonderful family. My husband's been home with me, and my son and his family has moved back home. And my daughter, Skylie, and my other son, Corey, are here. So everybody has just been so amazing to help me. Like, I have a bunch of chickens, and I've always been a huge selling my eggs. And and it was so sad. I was going to have to sell them all, but they have teamed up, and they do everything they can to make sure that I can still live as normal as possible.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Keep those hobbies. Yeah,
right.
They've been really wonderful.
I love that, Heidi. Well, let's go, I know with your addiction and, going through AA and stuff, is that where you met the Lord? Let's kind of go through where you, became a believer and you were born again into His kingdom. Can you kind of share a bit of that testimony?
Yeah, so my whole life, as long as I can ever remember, I've always known the Lord. But it wasn't until I was 32 years old and I hit that rock bottom, and it was May 21st of 2009, and I had just absolutely destroyed every shred of my life that I possibly could. And I felt so just unlovable and unworthy of anything. And I was at the lowest point in my life. And like I had shared a little bit before, I had been drunk for 3 days, 4 days. And before that, it was at least 2-3 times a week. And just, I hadn't been a good mom and a good wife. But it got to the end of my alcoholism, and God met me there when I just felt so, and like I had said, I felt Him. Mm-hmm. I was alone. I was terrified. I was on the verge of being kicked out because my husband, of course, needed to keep our kids safe, and he had thought that I was a threat, which I was, a threat to our kids, their safety and my safety, and he just couldn't do it anymore. He couldn't have that insanity in his house, or our house, I should say. And so that is when I met the Lord. And I went, Linda, my sponsor, picked me up for a meeting that day. And it was from that day forward that I started writing letters to God every single day. And it was just very simple at first. And I thanked Him for giving me another day and helping me accept my alcoholism. And it was just, it started out, and it just helped me build that relationship. It was almost like I envisioned Him looking over my shoulder and reading these letters. And so it just grew from there. And it grew every day. Yeah,
that's beautiful, Heidi. And one thing you hear in your testimony, and just you as a person, is your humility. With the humility, we're able to, of course, accept His grace and then desire to learn about Him. But also, I feel like humility helps us walk through the things that you've walked through and the thing that you're walking through now. Is there anything you'd like to say regarding that, how the Lord works in our heart, this humility?
Well, my sponsor, Linda, had always told me that humility is to be teachable.
Hmm.
And it was just another way to look at being humble, you know.
Yeah.
And I feel like that there's so much that I didn't know, and I still don't know. And the only way that I will ever be able to know what his plan is or what he wants for me in my life and to get to him is I have to be sober. I have to be humble, and to be teachable, and to stay in his grace to be able to do that. And the only way that I'm able to do that is to try to stay as selfless as possible. And that means to stay sober.
Then what a great definition for humility. As you kind of look at like the overall picture of the world right now, I mean, there's so many things going on, so many terrible things, some good things too. How do you feel about that? And as you leave your legacy, you know, we all have a legacy to leave. Obviously, the legacy of Christ and having our friends and family know him and have that humble heart. But is there anything you want to speak towards kind of the way the culture has gone, the society, how we, listening to your testimony, can take the baton and just be positive influences in the challenges in our culture?
Well, I definitely feel a shift in whatever is happening in our world. And I, speaking with so many people, that they feel it as well. Things have just changed. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if that's why I've been asked to walk this journey. I don't know. But I definitely feel like there's something bigger happening than just me getting a pesky old disease. I think it's all going to work for his glory. Mm-hmm. I think that, I'm not going to say that I mean, obviously none of us know when, or that is something we learn in the Bible, but I just feel like things are shifting in our world that it's so important to be ready.
Right.
For him.
Exactly. Yeah, whether we're alive when he comes or whether, we go home to be with him just through death. Either way, to be ready. Absolutely. The recent Charlie Kirk assassination, how did that affect you, if at all?
Oh, it was devastating. I mean, it was so great. I felt like he was a man that was, he was able to bring, his faith out loud and share it out loud. And I just feel like for so long, people have been pushed to the side, and Christians are shamed, and he was, I feel like, and still is, has made a way for especially our younger generation to not be ashamed of their Christian faith. Mm-hmm. And it's so heartbreaking, too, knowing that he had such a young family, because it's so many, I just feel like that it was a way for people to get to know the Lord, and I think that he is going to leave that forever. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and one of the things I saw on Facebook or social media is we all are Charlie, mm-hmm. and that's a creative way of just pointing out that we all have that kind of baton, if you will, to bring, meaning sharing our faith, and then just being open and honest with those who disagree with us, but to be able to talk to them in a way that's very humble and gracious. But to have those conversations is very important. There's
something that Charlie Kirk did too that I feel like I try to do, and just because I have to remember where I came from, is that the best way to get to know somebody or have them even think about changing their mind is you got to meet them where they are. Mm-hmm. If I take where I am, where I've been sober now for 16 years and the journey that I've been on, and I try to meet somebody that doesn't know Christ, but tell them exactly, it just doesn't work that way.
Right.
You have to go back, and you got to meet them where they are. And I think that he was great at that, and he has shared, he's allowing people just to share it and not be, I think people were afraid to talk about God for so long.
Right.
And it's like he's made it be okay again. And I think that's great.
Yeah, I agree. And to be able to share about Christ in a very intellectual way, too. We're taught in schools that you're not smart if you believe in the Bible, but in actuality, studying the Bible does prove that the Bible is just a very unique book and very supernatural. So to not be intimidated to share. And, we can all educate ourselves and be better at communicating for sure. And use Charlie Kirk as an example of that. It's very beautiful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Heidi, for our listeners, of course, we're all going to be praying for you, praying for your family. Is there a way in which listeners can keep in touch with you? Is that befriending on Facebook, or what's the way to kind of follow your journey?
Oh, yeah. I have, I'm on Facebook, or I have a Ariel's Light Facebook page too, the book. I'm love to talk to people.
Beautiful. And then Ariel's Light where can people get that? Do they just Google that and get on Amazon, or where do they get that?
Yeah, they can get it from me directly, actually, or you get it on Amazon, all the different Barnes & Noble. I think if you look up Ariel's Light by Heidi Davis, it'll come up. Yeah, it's available everywhere as far as I know.
Wonderful. And I would say just your testimony in your life, it's Heidi's light as well. You have a light, the light of Christ, and in this journey, you are displaying it very beautifully. So thank you so much, Heidi, for coming on Corner Cafe, for being my friend and my mom's friend. I know she loved you so much, and I'm so honored to be your friend. And thank you for just the display of humility, and your walk with Christ is really, really powerful. So thank you.
Thank you, Rachel. I'm honored to be here, and like I said before, absolutely honored to know your mama. Such a beautiful lady, and you too.
And thank you so much for tuning in to the Corner Cafe. It was a joy to have you with us. And I want to remind you that Corner Cafe is brought to you by Crawford Media Group and Influencers TV. We have a course out. It's on how to have your own unique radio program that will stand the test of time. If you'd like to learn more, just go to influencerstv.com/radio. That's influencerstv.com/radio. Until next time, see you at the Corner Cafe next week.